Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Her Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Another Timeline, Another Life, our review retrospective on David Warner as the Unbound Doctor. Today, we are looking at The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, Volume 7, Blood and Steel, released in September of 2022, directed by Scott Hancock. Blood and Steel stars Lisa Bowerman as Bernice Summerfield and David Warner as the Doctor. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place because I do this unscripted and may decide to talk about spoilers. If you do not wish to be spoiled, then in the description box below is the link to Big Finish's website where you can purchase The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield Volume 7, Blood and Steel. This set consists of 4 stories. Willkommen by James Goss, Wolf by Aaron Lamont, Übermensch by Roshana Patel, und Auf Wiedersehen by Victoria Saxton. If I were to rank these stories from my least favorite to favorite, I would probably say Übermensch is the weakest, followed by Willkommen, then Wolf, and Auf Wiedersehen is the strongest. But overall, this is a very strong set. It is just really consistent from start to finish in terms of its quality. There's no real dips of any kind. In fact, aside from Auf Wiedersehen being my favorite, if I was to rank this on a different day, or maybe even an hour from now, my ranking of those last stories could be very different. This set is so strong. At the moment, this is the final release in the New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield range. In fact, just this year, Big Finish announced at least one release. I think there was 2, but for certain one that I know of. This is just overall a really strong set. In fact, I would say this is probably the best set since Ruler of the Universe. I don't know, and between those two, I don't know which one I would rank better, Ruler of the Universe or Blood and Steel. Probably Ruler of the Universe. Blood and Steel might be stronger, but also it's one that doesn't really warrant re-listening. Like, the entertainment factor is not there. It's a good set, but it is a very bleak set. Given its premise, given its setting, this set really drags you down. And I do mean that in a good way, because a lot of this set is based around tragedy and focuses on dark events. The overall premise of this set, let me give you a setting, let me give you a sense of what you're in for with this set and why this set is so bleak. The Doctor and Bernice are tracing a mysterious energy signal that the Doctor has detected. And it leads them, as you can see from the cover, to fighting a Cybermen, in 1930s Germany. So they are fighting a Cybermen invasion just sort of on the eve of the Nazi rise to power. And that's where a lot of the bleakness comes in, just the commentary on it. Because this set does something really, really well. I'm going to use a quote from Mel Brooks. I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember what he said verbatim, but he basically said, "I will make fun of Hitler. I will mock the Nazis. But I will never joke about what they did." And this set really toes that line of mocking the Nazis and their ideology, but never making light of the atrocities they committed. And using the Cybermen as part of a fascist allegory is kind of a genius idea. It's not one I thought of personally, but, because the obvious fascism allegory in Doctor Who is, of course, the Daleks. But it works disturbingly well with horrific results. And that is a compliment because, the Cybermen are preying on the Nazi ideal of conformity, of they only want the best people and they want everyone to be the same. In fact, something happens in this set that I have never seen happen in a Cybermen story before. The Cybermen, when it looks like they've won, when they've taken control and they start gathering human beings up for mass conversions into Cybermen, the Cybermen start rejecting people that don't conform to their ideals, like people who are sick, people who are older, who may seem frail or weaker or have some kind of condition. Like I said, it's done with horrific results in the best way possible. A lot of this set as well really evokes the musical Cabaret, especially the first story, Willkommen, and the last story, Auf Wiedersehen, because they both take place in a Berlin nightclub with a mysterious, enigmatic, potentially villainous MC who is played wonderfully. I'm forgetting that actor's name, I apologize, but they do such a good job. Like, it's very clear that this... James Goss said he was kind of inspired by the German cabaret scene, but I would not be surprised if a lot of, again, the musical Cabaret played a big role in this. And not just like the setting or the character themselves, but a lot of what that musical is touting. How, you know, just as much people turning a blind eye or feigning ignorance or choosing to be willfully ignorant is just as responsible for the fascist rise to power, and not just active participation in it. You know, choosing to do nothing was just as big a contributing factor to it. I totally blanked. Let's talk about Warner for a moment, specifically his performance. We'll talk about the Doctor a little bit later, but let's talk about Warner's performance, because aside from the story and setting making this kind of a bleak listen, there is also the fact that the shadow of Warner's death hangs over this set. And I'm just going to lift pretty much what I said when I reviewed Time Lord in Memorial wholesale for this segment. David Warner gives a masterful performance, and it's doubly admirable because you can hear how sick he is. You know, if you've ever seen anything with David Warner in it, TV shows, movies, maybe you saw him on stage, you know he has a very distinct, very unique, very easily identifiable voice. Like, once you hear his voice, you can really never forget it. And except for maybe like one or two scenes in each story, for most of this set, it doesn't sound like him at all. And like I said, it's doubly heartbreaking because he is so good still. He is obviously battling this serious, devastating illness, and he is still giving these masterful performances, especially in those last two stories. Like, in Übermensch, he is kind of making light of the situation as he and Bernice try to figure out what's going on. But again, like what I said earlier, it's towing the line of mocking the Nazis, not what they did. And he brings a lot of brevity and much needed humor to that story. And then in Auf Wiedersehen, you see him fighting to hold on, because the Cybermen want to convert him to a cyber planner. They want to use the Doctor's knowledge to conquer the galaxy, and they are preying on his humanity to try and convince him, you know. They're saying they know what's coming, because they know what's coming. They know about World War II and what's going to happen, but they're saying they can stop it. And the Doctor knows what the Cybermen mean by that, but the MC, who has been partially converted, is preying on the fear of the patrons of the club, saying the Doctor will not save you. And the Doctor is countering by saying, I can't save you. I know what's coming, but I also know what will happen if I give the Cybermen what I want. The Doctor realizes he's in a lose-lose situation, and he is struggling to find a way to survive. Like, he is good in all of this set, but in those last two stories, his performance in particular shines. Lisa Bowerman is also really good in this set, if a little melancholy. Like, it is interesting to note that throughout all of Bernice's adventures with the Doctor, despite her complaints, despite her issues, she jumps headfirst into every adventure. She's full of zeal and energy and kind of excited to be participating, to be on this adventure. And here, because again, she knows what's going on, she does not want to be here. This is, as far as I know, the first time I've heard a story where Bernice does not want to go on this adventure because she knows what's happening. And that's a lot of what Ubermensch is. Bernice had just gone through something traumatic. She was almost converted into a Cyberman. She has cyber nanites coursing through her bloodstream. So in part, while trying to solve a mystery of what's going on, the Doctor encourages her to go on an archaeological expedition, because even though throughout his adventures with Bernice, he's made it very clear he does not like archaeology. You know, think of the 10th Doctor line, "I'm a time traveler, I point and laugh at archaeologists." Even though he does not like archaeology, he knows maybe this is something Benny needs. And then over all of this, you know, the Doctor and Benny fighting this cyber invasion, you know, facing these horrific acts that the Cybermen are doing, and just the fact that they know what's coming. Through all of that, we get our second story, Wolf. Wolf is just a horrific masterpiece. And I'm hearing this now, I bet it comes off as being really annoying, but I'm sorry, I think in comparisons, that's what I do. I get kind of vibes of the Skyman from the War Master Series 1 in this set, but also, like, I get a lot of The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. The Metamorphosis is a very famous novel where a man wakes up one day and learns he had been turned into a giant cockroach through inexplicable means. And he tries to go on living while his family also tries to adjust to their new lives, living with this family member who has just been turned into a giant cockroach. But as life goes on, it quickly becomes clear that caring for this person in this way is just a huge strain on everyone involved. And that's kind of what happens with Wolf. Wolf was a young man who left his little village and went to Berlin hoping to seek a fortune. And by the end of the first story, Willkommen, he has been converted into a Cyberman. The conversion wasn't complete, like he is in a cyber suit and everything, but he doesn't seem to have, you know, the cyber signal. He doesn't seem to be working or operating to the Cybermen ideals. So, you know, with some sliver of his humanity left, he returns to his village, and his family and everyone around him kind of has to adjust to what happened to him. And, you know, only halfway through the story does Benny finally show up. And this story is mostly Benny. The Doctor doesn't show up until the end, but this story stays focused on Wolf and what he's going through. And, you know, his struggle to keep his humanity intact, which is sort of exasperated by Benny. She sees what's happening around him, you know, his girlfriend wants nothing to do with him anymore, and she and her new boyfriend are trying to bring Nazism to their village. And, you know, Wolf's family and the people around him only want to use him for labor because of his newly enhanced strength. So Benny is trying to help him cling to his humanity before he reaches a potentially very dangerous breaking point. You know, I don't think I've really got into too many spoilers on this one, and I don't have any more to say. Like I said, The New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield Volume 7, Blood and Steel. It is a darkly, horrifically bleak masterpiece. David Warner gives it his all for what is one of his final performances, and he is matched by an equally passionate performance from Lisa Bowerman. I can't recommend this set for everyone because of how grim it gets. That might not be your cup of tea, and I can fully understand that, but I would say it is one of the best Cyberman stories in all of Doctor Who, especially Wolf. But those are just my thoughts. Have you heard the new Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, Volume 7, Blood and Steel yet? What are yours? Start a conversation in the comments below. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. Next up would have been, in this series, just going through all of the Warner Doctor's releases, next up would have been his part of Big Finish's 60th anniversary special, Once and Future, Time Lord in Memorial, but I already reviewed that. So if you're interested, I will pull that video. I will take that video and put it in this playlist. But next up will be our final review and our penultimate video, where we will look at the Warner Doctor's final appearance in Dark Gallifrey, Season 2, The War Master, Part 1. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.